Welcome back to another episode of the Fake Football Show presented by Tutto Posto. That's right, we're back for episode 2 of this show. We wanted to put out another podcast for you and also check it out on YouTube at the Tutto Posto. Wait, not the Tutto Posto on YouTube, correct, Beef?
It is Tutto Posto, that is it.
Yep, if you look it up, you'll find it. But check out the video version. I am shirtless, if that's what you're into. But today, we'll be going through every player that's ever touched this league, past and present, giving a little brief history, past finishes, tendencies, what their nicknames are, everything. Anything you can think of. So if you're into that, listen to it, comment, like, subscribe. Yeah, that's it. But before we get into all that, I'll hand it over to Beef for some over-unders in the draft process because this league has seen a lot of craziness and Beef has some great questions for us.
All right, so the first of all, I got 3 questions. I'm going to preface this with saying this is an offline draft. We do it at Joe and G's condo every year is what we've been going towards now. Basically, we get a board, we get stickers, everything. So that'll lead me right into the first question. Who will make the first write-in vote? And I think we have a heavy favorite, Paul. Paul is definitely the heavy favorite in this. As you all may know, he doesn't always get very drunk, but he likes to drink at the draft. And typically the write-in votes start around 11, 12. And Paul's a very big, heavy favorite for random people writing in. So definitely the heavy favorite. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I got all the draft boards up from the past 4 years, and I mean, there's not a lot of write-ins. It does take a deep cut to get a write-in. Sometimes, I mean, they've never worked out. I'll say that. Never have they ever worked out. But Brandon, we'll talk about him a little bit in a little bit, but he always used to love a write-in. If he was still in the league, Beef said it before we started, he would be picking the write-in and definitely getting the first one on the board. Paul, like you said, loves a good write-in. I can't really think of anyone else that would really reach for a write-in in those late rounds. I have in the past, accidentally and on purpose, like you said. I had a write-in Chris Thompson last year because he did not get a sticker. It was pretty shocking to everyone why he did not get a sticker, and I had to do that. Otherwise, probably wouldn't have given one. Only other person I could really think of is Steve. Maybe he'd do that. He likes a nice random player, but yeah, I might have to think Paul on this one.
Paul loves the random write-ins, but then again, I'm looking back. Paul's random write-ins and players that he loves to randomly draft, I think they're going to have stickers this year. He's a big Jameis guy. Big Jameis guy. Big Sam Darnold guy. Both could be starters. You never know. So I'm going wild card. You mentioned him. I'm going Steve. That's my random guess.
And I'm going to give a quick shout out to Spoots for last year's 2 write-ins. He did not have 1, but 2. And as early as the 14th round, he had a write-in Chris Hogan in the 14th. In his 15th, I cannot see.
It is Love. He was the backup running back for Washington.
There you go. Beef got it. So that was his 14th and 15th write-ins. And I had the 12th round write-in with Chris Thompson. That's how early I drafted him. Did not pan out. Absolutely horrible write-in. But what can you do?
It happens. It happens.
Those rounds are throwaway anyway.
Definitely happens to the best of us. Next question. This is a landslide vote. I'm just going to tell you guys right now. This is the biggest heavy header lead I've ever seen in my life, and it's first kicker in what round. G is about 1 million to 1 odds to be, 1 to 1 million odds, wrong way around. But he's about 1 to 1 million to do this, and I'm setting an over underline. I'm putting him at plus 160 for the 9th round.
No, absolutely not. It will be G, like you said. It's not even close, but these are like this is minus money. You're not making money off of this.
I mean, I'm talking single-digit rounds here. I will throw out.
I'll give you the history.
I'm pretty sure G has picked Justin Tucker in like the 7th round.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the history in a second. That's why I'm leaning this single digit round G minus money. If you pay attention to Serie, we do a Serie podcast, uh, soccer on the side. The money for Juventus to win was minus 100. That's what G is this year. Like you said, Beef, G since 2017 has picked Tucker in the 11th. 2018, he picked Tucker in the 9th. 2019, Tucker in the 12th. And last but not least, Will Lutz in the 11th last year. So that's a good line, Beef. Single digit rounds. He loves drafting right at that line, I'd say. Like 9, 10, 11. That's his wheelhouse. And I don't even know. I think that's free. Absolutely free. Beef is frozen on my screen. So I'm not sure exactly what to do at this moment. All right. We had a quick technical difficulty. Beef has lost power for a brief second. Unfortunate, but we're back. And we were talking about G drafting kickers in early rounds. And I remember we were going through each year he picked, and he was picking Justin Tucker. And the last year he picked Will Lutz in the 2020 draft. All around like the 9 was the earliest, 10, 11, 12 pick. So like I was saying, Beef, you picked a good line, single digits. That's tough. It's only been 1 year that he's actually picked single digits, but I still lean that he does. He loves a nice kicker, loves getting it out of the way. It is a little early sometimes, but I mean, in the end, it's the later rounds that kind of throwaway picks for the most part. That's when you pick your kicker defense. But G loves his kickers.
All right, I guess we're going to go into the last question now. This is a heavy question. You might need to think about this real quick. I have my answer, so I'll go first to let you think about it. But before the draft, pre-draft, who's the favorite to win it this year? We're just throwing. That's a heavy question because we haven't seen any drafts. We don't know what anyone's doing. The only thing we know is the draft order. It's the only thing we know. I'm going with Mick. Always go with Mick. Rule number 1, never bet against Mick. He was in the finals 5 years in a row for a reason. And no, I don't think it's strictly off his drafting. He's had some questionable drafts. He drafted CJ Spiller in the 3rd round 1 year. Still made it to the finals. How? I don't know. But got to go with Mick. He's good on the waiver wire. Good, knows how to pick players up, knows what to do. So my favorite, I'm gonna go with Mick.
Thank you, Beef. I mean, I appreciate that. I've had some good luck in the past. I had a great run in the finals. Ended last year. I love the 1 pick. Absolutely love it. But yeah, I've had some luck at the 1 pick. I've had some luck in the middle rounds. So I just, yeah, it's not one at the draft, like you said. And I love the waiver wire. There's no limit in the league, as it should be. And I don't ever let a pick go to waste. I'm usually in like the 30s to 40s in waiver pickups. I drop guys, I pick up guys, I drop multiple guys. It's my team is forever rotating, especially those bench players. And you hope one of them hits. In the past, they have, and I've had some luck. My favorite this year. I'm going to take a quick look at the draft order. I mean, I'm a big fan of this player here, and I'll stick with him. The king without a ring, Justin.
You think he does it this year?
I think this could be his year. He's had great teams in the past. He's always been close. He always puts up points. He just always falls a little bit short come those final rounds. I do not know if it's because his team is usually so stacked that the players don't perform towards the end of the season. That could be a factor. Maybe his drafts are too good. Maybe he has to take a step down in the draft and focus on the waiver wire like I have. But yeah, big fan of him. We've had some back and forth every year. We've traded. Always, we're in a good relationship trade wise. And yeah, I'll pick Slice this year to win it. I think he's always a heavy favorite, but he's slipped a little bit in the past.
I mean, definitely very good drafter, I would say. I think definitely this is his 2nd league. Everyone knows it. He's in a big money league. That's his number 1 league. I don't think he watches as much on the waiver wire and stuff like that. He might throw like one or two things out a week, but then he doesn't go and look at it. So a lot of the time that might be his downfall, but his teams are usually very good. Always makes the playoffs, always solid. Usually, I would say typically, he's usually the favorite going into the playoffs. Him and Craig are very, very good regular season players. They don't get there. Well, Craig's won before, but I don't know what happens in the playoffs. They just might run into a brick wall as someone dropping 200 points, stuff like that. I mean, but definitely very good drafter. So I think that's a pretty good pick.
Yeah, and we'll get into his past performances in the league. And like you said, he's always finished high. Had some great seasons coming in first, even second. So we'll talk about that when we get to Slice. And I guess that leads into what we're doing for the bulk of this podcast. We're going to go through each player, past and present, like I said, give the background, move through the players who are no longer in the league first, and then we'll get into our draft order, go from 10 to 1, and quick backgrounds on that. Because the next few weeks will be bigger podcasts and more content for everyone. But we'll get into the first players. Now, this is way back to 2014 when like we said last week, it was a family/friends league. And two people who are no longer in the league who were part of the family bunch were Big Paul, the dad of a few players in the league, and their aunt. So, I mean, you know why, those players left because they probably didn't feel like it was their crowd because it was getting a little rowdy, I'd say. Me and Steve joined the league that year. I think it moved from 8 to 10, so that's why me and Steve joined. So Steve did well that year, but we won't talk about that yet. So their aunt, AK, known as AK, won the league that year. She went out with a bang. And we're going to bring out a little controversy here that I remembered. This was the year that Ray Rice, unfortunately, how do I say it, hit his significant other. And I changed my name to a unsavory name that lasted about 18 to 24 hours. I tried to take a stand on it because it was pretty funny to most people. Obviously, I wasn't serious, but that wasn't taken well, and she ended up winning the league and went out on top, and, no harm, no foul. I'd say that's all I have on her. Beef, I know you weren't in the league, but any words? Yeah, I didn't think so. But we'll move to Big Paul, which I'm sure you'll have some words on. Big Paul, he came in 9th place that year. Not a great year to go out. And he was, this a little bit more controversy, 2014 to 15, he was not leaving the league. He was forced out due to PPR. This, I believe, was the year that we switched.
It was the year we switched, and he was not happy. We brought up PPR. He said, "No, I'm out." I believe his exact words, and I quote, were "fuck that." Believe.
He was like, "What's PPR? I can't do that. I'm done."
He was too confused.
Yeah.
But basically, he was in the league up until I believe it was up until the draft, pretty much.
Yeah, I think it may or may not have been draft night.
I believe it was.
Or the week before, something like that. It was very close.
Because basically, AK left.
Yeah.
And I was replacing it. That was the whole thing. I'm trying to remember, but basically the week of, if not the night of the draft, he was like, I am not playing in this league.
Who was one and done? Just double checking.
Max.
That was Max, correct. Okay, we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, so Big Paul left the following year. Max replaced a friend of Craig. So that was what,
2015.
15 was the year Big Paul left. On a tough note, but funny guy, great character, and great player to have in the league. Just unfortunate, had to leave and move to the family league, which I believe the family league is still not PPR.
I do not believe it is.
But so that's 2015, and like we said, Max and Beef joined the league. Beef missed the playoffs that year. We won't talk about that yet. But Max joined the league and came in dead last. And this is, I guess, the next player, Max. to be in and out. He lasted 2 years, 2015 and 2016. And again, more controversy. He made his mark in this league. We said it last week. He was an infamous player. Had an awful first year. I think he had some injuries. Paul dug into him deep. Paul loved to give him shit. But I think the following year, we brought up the idea of rings, like we said, and he wanted none of it. Ended up having a very solid year. I believe he came first place in the regular season, and then lost.
Didn't even make the finals. Got knocked out in the semis.
Yep, lost to me, I believe.
I believe you beat him.
And I think I dug into it more and caused some havoc. And
you did not hold back on
yeah
on that specific game. You won, and you I'm pretty sure you sent a video, and it was quite literally just you dug in.
Because my idea of rings was shut down by him alone, and it just was horrible. And that partly, I believe, led to him leaving the league that year. Unfortunate to see him go, but had to be done. You know, players come and go. There's a core part of this league, and there's a rotating player. We'll see how it goes in the next few years, but there's a rotating player, and it's cursed. I think it's a cursed spot, the 10th spot.
Also, I'm just gonna throw it out there. He did not leave the league that year. He left the league the year after when you beat him in the finals, and then dug into him again.
Okay, right. That was a back-to-back year, right? He lasted 3 years.
He was the one seed. He was the one seed back-to-back years, lost in the semis to Mick and the finals to Mick.
Okay, because I think I forgot that he came in last that year. So, he had, I guess, 2 good seasons, and then he left. Good catch, Beep. Good catch. Yeah, he went 10-2 back-to-back years.
Yep.
And that was so that was the year that I dug in. Okay. And then he left. So he left in 2017. In the following year, who came in to replace? It was 2018.
The replacement was Spoots.
Right, finished the McGillicuddies. No, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, the replacement was Spoots, and Brandon was still in the league. That was our next player. Brandon, been there since 2014, possibly earlier, before this goes back. But yeah, great player. Big part of this group, but unfortunately left. Again, controversy.
Trust the process. Trust the process struggled that year. Brandon, infamous for if he loses his first 2 or 3 games, tanks his absolute team. That was his move. Trade everything you own for draft picks next year. That was the move.
That was the move for back-to-back years. The first year was like the first year that we started allowing that. It never really happened before. Like horrible team trading for high draft picks in the next draft. Obviously, in this league, we're like, okay, yeah, you're going to stay in the league. So, it's going to last forever. So we're not worrying about those draft picks. We're not worried about a player leaving and then leaving those draft picks to regular league. So that was 1 year. I believe it worked out fine
That was 2017 was when he first did it.
Yeah, 17 he went 4-8, and then the year after he went 2-10. I think it was just a complete giving up by him, and that was the year. Like I said, controversy.
There was a lot of drama with draft picks. Let's put it this way.
That he was trying to trade to everyone, and in his defense, Steve was the only one who was willing to accept. So it got a little out of hand. The draft picks for the spots were the number of players involved was very high. We obviously brought it up to the league as a group, and that's where it went a little haywire. Most people were not in favor. The question is, should a trade be allowed if both players are okay with it? But it was just very, very lopsided. The trade ended up going through anyway, and the player who was involved with the trade, Steve, ended up winning the league and
beating. Put the asterisk. Put it down. Put the asterisk on the lead. On the league,
Yeah.
2018, it was rigged. That's the only reason why Steve won. Okay.
So that's the controversy, and he ended up beating me. Good win. I think it was a horrible final. We both scored like 100 points. I could have won. Steve could have won. So it didn't even truly matter. But Brandon left on principle. He didn't even leave for any other reason. He just said, "I'm not dealing with the league that would veto a trade like that, even though the trade went through."
May I tell you the trade? I don't know the exact players. I know 3 of the 5 players. It was Keenan Allen, the Jaguars defense, who were the best defense in the league. It was a very good kicker. And then there was a running back and another wide receiver included for a 3rd-round pick. This was all for a 3rd-round pick. And we were like, you're giving up the best defense in the league, a top 5 wide receiver, a top 5 kicker, and he was just giving up so much crap for 1 3rd-round pick. And I remember I was very much against this. Very, very much so. But yeah, and then basically the drama that happened was, as you know, Brandon left in 2018, Brandon and DJ. But Steve, the trade went through and then didn't have to give up his goddamn 3rd-round pick. So I call absolutely rigged. We put an asterisk next to this. If we were doing rings, which we're not, I'm annoyed by that still, but we won't talk about that. Steve was not getting a ring. That's a fact.
I'd give him a ring. He beat me in the final. I'd still give him a ring.
I wouldn't give him a ring.
Usually a good player, usually a good sport, and I think he was just caught in the middle of a shitstorm right there.
I refuse to. First of all, I'm just going to throw this out there. We're chasing a little bit of a squirrel here because we're going a little bit off track. But this is some bullshit. Why are there 2 teams going directly at me in this league with their names? I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan. I'm sorry.
Beef, you are the brunt of a lot of attacking. I'll say that. Craig usually goes after you. Not with his name, but yeah, Steve and Spoots. We'll call them out. They go after you with their names.
Yeah, and they don't change their goddamn names either.
And then last and very briefly was the 2019 player in and out was Mark. He came in, he brought his chili, and he left.
That guy made chili that one time. He made chili. He brought chili to the draft. He brought it that one time. It was pretty good. That's all I'm saying. It was pretty good. It's about all I remember from that entire fantasy year from him.
Yeah, it was 1 year, one and done. And if you hear this, Mark, you brought good chili. People were very enthused about the chili. That's a great draft food, and you made your mark. I'll say that, no pun intended. But now we move into the current players, and we'll go through quick. 10-1, starting with Craig. I'll start off by saying, Craig, great player in the league, won the championship 1 time. To my knowledge, I'm not sure he made much more finals than that. He's had some great runs, coming 3rd a few times, I think. But yeah, he's got the name on the trophy. That's all that matters. There's not many names on that trophy.
He was the first name on the trophy, was he not?
Yes. It was Craig, me, Steve, me, Spoots. But yeah, known as the villain in the league. Loves to stir pot, loves to go after players. If you haven't seen the fantasy show from last year, his segment was the screw up of the week, pretty much. Bonehead. It was Bonehead move of the week.
Booma's bonehead move.
Booma's bonehead move, where he hacked into the show and called out someone who made an absolute bonehead move in their lineup. It was Joe a lot.
Joe was a lot. It was Joe a lot.
For not starting who? I forget who it was.
He had 3 or 4 really good wide receivers. And I remember early on he wasn't playing DK Metcalf, and that was a couple of times.
No, that was
one week. One week was Thielen. He didn't play Thielen over Metcalf, and it was one of those that it was a lot of wide receiver controversy for him.
Yeah, it seemed to always be Joe and G. I think Steve got tossed in there once or twice.
I got it once or twice.
Yeah, I don't think I got it, thankfully, because my team wasn't really fantastic. My lineup was usually my lineup. But yeah, that's his MO. Just going after guys, being the villain. And when he's doing well in the league, that's when he loves to pile it on and really go after guys. Known rivalry I'd say biggest rivalry with Paul. That goes back years. Paul will have something to say about that if we ever get him on this podcast. He remembers the infamous day. But yeah, I'd say that's Craig in a nutshell. And
He
he's
will
got the
be
10
back.
pick
He'll definitely be back on the fantasy show this year. That's a fact.
for sure. Like we said, he's got the WWE persona, and he's ready to go this year and make some content. Next, we got Paul. So back to back here. There might be some draft pick rivalry going on draft night. We'll cover that. But yeah, like I said, rivalry with Boomer. So that could be tough. 9-10. Paul, also known as a villain, he's kind of taken up that villain role over the past few years. Um, his whole thing last year was Trump. He
Yep.
loved acting like Trump, talking like Trump, and all that stuff. He loved it. Trump's gone, so he's got to pick a new villain role this year, and we'll see what he does. We have some ideas flowing for him, but we won't spill the beans yet. But yeah, crazy drafter, I'll say. Usually loves to cause a ruckus, have some fun on draft night, and throwing it back to 2019 was the year that he picked Odell. He's had Odell so many times.
He loves to pick Odell. So Paul's draft theory. So I believe this was 2019 was his theory. He went full ignorance. So that was Paul's theme. He was like, I will pick the most ignorant team. No one will be more ignorant than me. I will read off a few of Paul's picks from that year. Oh no, it was not. It was not that year because I remember exactly who his pick was. He picked Marshawn Lynch strictly because ignorance. This was 2017, I believe, when it happened. Yes, he picked Odell, Marshawn Lynch, and then he picked Aaron Rodgers, and the theme went once he picked Aaron Rodgers. But
No,
that
Jameis.
he did pick James. Paul's a big Jameis guy. If I had to put money on who picks Jameis this year, my money's on Paul. But yeah, Paul, very much known as loving to stir the pot. Kind of started his own drama this offseason by writing his name on the trophy, even though Spoots won.
Yep.
Kind of wild. But Paul, if you ask Paul who won the league last year, he will tell you he won the league. I promise you.
Until that plaque is on that trophy, he won the league in his mind. But yeah,
Yep.
like you said, I think this is 2019 draft. Picked Michael Crabtree with his last pick. He likes picking players that he likes. Um, and there's nothing wrong with it. He'll reach for a guy. He'll reach for Jameis.
Yeah,
you know,
he'll reach for Jay. I don't know when he'll pick him. He's picking
yeah.
James this year.
Jameis might be a 14th round player or later, but Paul will reach for him. He might go in the 12th.
Yeah, never know.
But yeah, that's Paul. 2019 draft put all his stickers the wrong way and some were upside down, overlapping. Couldn't even see players. But that's Paul. We love him.
This was based off the year prior because I told him he was drunk and putting stickers on sideways and stuff. So then the next year he just went full fuck you and started putting them like upside down and like long. He put them vertical, not horizontal, and I was just like, really? He did it strictly just to spite me. So
Yeah, it's a perfect draft board and then Paul's. But we move on to the 8th pick. Part of the twin towers here. Joe at 8. The commish of the league, Joseph Stalin. Great commish. He's had some ups and downs during some years, but he's always come back and been strong. As our commissioner, he changed the league to PPR. He's always willing to, adjust the rules during COVID year. He's probably going to keep that this year as well because COVID is back. So, we might even adjust again. I forget what he mentioned the other day, but we might have a new rule coming in. I forget what it was, but yeah, he's always been open to it. And if we bring up in the money, like we said, I'm sure he'd be open to it as well because we're all working men. And so, yeah. And again, what's his league history? We'll give him a quick history. I don't think he's ever won. No, we know that. But he's had some good teams. And I think one of the years that I won was a tough loss for him. Yep, the 2019 season when Shelby Brothers Limited won beat Joe in the final. That was the year that my team just got real hot at the end, and an unfortunate loss for Joe. Really stung for him.
Ryan
He's still
Tannehill carried you to the win.
he's still a little salty about that one, but I mean, he's always had a good team, like we said about Craig. Always had a good team, and he'll get one of them this year, or one of the years, not this year because they picked Slice, but yeah, always had a good team, and that's all I got on Joe.
Yeah, I mean, Joe, usually pretty good player, usually makes the playoffs, I would say. I don't know if he did not make the playoffs last year. He actually came in last year. But I believe he started off very hot and then kind of fell off. He had very good that's what it was. So throwing back to Craig, he had 4 really good wide receivers. He had Adam Thielen, Keenan Allen, DK Metcalf, and DeAndre Hopkins. And he always played the wrong one. So Craig always ripped on him for that. But, I mean, it was just one of those years. Definitely an off year for Joe. He'll probably be back this year, have a decent draft. He's usually pretty good. So, the commish usually, I will say it right now going into the draft, hashtag my commish. I will not say not my commish. There's lines being drawn in this league, but I will say my commish for this year.
Absolutely, I'm with you there. And yeah, like you said, to come in dead last with those receivers is hard. But last year was an extremely competitive year compared to most years. Last week of the regular season for us, I believe a lot of situations could have happened where multiple teams could have been flip-flopped and made the playoffs. I think Joe was included with that.
There was 4 teams who had playoffs locked. It was me, Craig, Slice, and Spoots. Every other team in the last 6 could have made the playoffs going into the last week.
With a win, and I think there was a couple small points for situations.
Yes.
But yeah, it could have been crazy. Joe just unfortunately fell. Like for example, he was 5-8 along with G, and the 4-9. There was also some 4-9 teams. So the last spot was up for grabs.
Yep.
I think G was locked because of points or something. He would have lose by a ton. Yep. But that being said, we moved to G. And this is where the fun starts, I guess. We could do a whole podcast on G, his draft tendencies, his favorite players, his antics.
Does G pick Gronk at 7? Is it possible? Do you think there's a possibility he picks Gronk at 7?
No, I do not. But there is a possibility he picks Kelsey at 7.
G's a big early tight end guy. He went away from it last year. 4 running backs into a quarterback. Avoided tight ends for a while. I mean, I don't think he liked it because he did have Gronk last year. I will say that. But G, very big on the early tight end. So there's high probability he picks Travis Kelce.
Yes, absolutely. Kelsey predicted to go early or middle. I'd say late to early second round. No. Late first round, early second round. Yep. So G's right at that turn. Definitely could swoop him up. I could definitely see it happening. He's had Kelsey in the past, and like we said, he likes to play favorites. And when he picks a favorite player, he'll stick with him. Nothing wrong with it. If you like a player, you like watching a player, go for it. So I could definitely see him pick Kelsey. I could see him picking Gronk later in the draft. He'll still be a good player. They got some tight ends and some weapons down there, but Gronk's Gronk. But yeah, G never won the league. He's had some, I'd say, decent runs in the past, but never really making a true push to win. Like we said, picks kickers early, loves to get those kickers and defenses off the board and solidify those spots. What else? I'm trying to think.
G's biggest rivalry, according to the league, would probably be with me.
True.
Why? I don't know. Me and G have never fueled into this.
Because G hates beef.
I don't know. I mean, everyone apparently hates me in this league, so I just have a rivalry with every team besides me. I don't have a rivalry with Mick. I don't have a rivalry with Slice. I don't have a rivalry with Joe.
True.
I think that, or Craig. I don't really have a rivalry with Craig.
No.
The other 5 players in the league apparently I have a rivalry with. So,
yep. They do not want you to win, and you got to prove them wrong.
Oh, if I win, they will never hear the end of it.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. I'll buy myself a ring and walk around with it.
If you win, we'll buy each other rings.
I'm in. I'm in.
But yeah, I'd say that's about it on G loves Gronk. Oh, the names. The names was what I was thinking of. The history of his name. It goes back to, when was it? 2019. No. Yes.
So I'm gonna go
No,
through
20.
G's. I'm going all the way back through G's names. We're starting in
I,
2015. G's name, Party Like a Gronk Star. Had Gronk on his team. Shocker. 2016, Make America Gronk Again. Let me guess. He had Gronk on his team. 2017, same thing. Also had Gronk on his team. 2018, Boston Tight End Party. Guess who he had on his team? Gronk. 2019, Gronk retires. G
Picks
changes
Kelsey.
his name. He picks Kelsey, his name. No Gronk for G. No Gronk that year. Tough. Going back to 2020, G's name, no Gronk for G. Liar. You had Gronk on your team. You didn't change your name. We're calling you out for it.
That was the year. Yeah. So
So
nine.
I don't know if you guys could tell. G likes Gronk. I don't know if you can tell. It only has had something to do with his name for the last 6 years, but
Absolutely love it. That was the piece that I was trying to think about, and you covered it perfect. That is G in a nutshell.
we
And
had
that's
to
back.
run it all the way back.
Yep, that's a rivalry 10 and 9, and then the Twins 8 and 7, and then we got Stan at 6. Probably a quick one here.
Stan Schefter, baby.
Stan Schefter loves to break news to our chat. The rumor around is that his other league has a group, and they text all the time on game day. They get all the news fast and rapid. They're talking about football all day, which is, I love it. Stan tries to bring that energy to our chat, and typically it does not go well.
It's usually a Mick thumbs up reaction or nothing. That's usually the response.
Or someone just says, "Thank you, Stan Schefter."
It's usually you, but
Yeah, me, Paul, sometimes you, but that's about it. Yeah, the group chat has its moments, but usually it's not as exciting as it could be. And last year, just for a quick history of Stan, came in 7th place, just missing the playoffs. Picked McCaffrey, so unlucky there. But had Evans up and down. Kelsey, great year. Sutton got hurt as well. Correct.
Yep, towards ACL.
Yep. Fournette, up and down. He definitely reached for Fournette in the 5th round. That was a pretty wild move by him, but he wanted him, and he got him. So that's the type of stuff you can expect in a draft night, and I'm expecting Stan to come in with some crazy draft picks, and I love it because Stan's a great guy, and if he can't make it this year, we'll have him on Skype, but he better make it.
I believe he will be there. At least I would be under the assumption, considering he texted in the group chat and said, "Beef, save me a seat next to you." So I'm gonna assume he's gonna be there. Me and Stan have a rivalry apparently. I don't know where this stemmed from. It just kind of happened. I know I played Stan week 1 and I beat him. I know that. By the way, I beat Stan twice last year. Shout out, Stan. I'm 2-0 against you. Just wanted to throw that out there. But gotta fuel the rivalry a little bit. But I don't know where it started. Really, I think it had something to do with Paul and him going back and forth, and then my name got brought into it, and then I don't know what happened. But
yeah, like most of your rivalries, I think someone leads you into a rivalry, and then you just kind of get dragged into it.
well, yeah, but then when someone comes at me, I can't just sit there and not do anything.
Exactly. Like typically, like with Spooch, you'll just brush it off, but with Stan, you dug into it, and I love it.
Just happened,
Yeah, and I'd love to meet the guy, so Stan, come to the draft by all means necessary. Next, we move to the 5th pick. It is Spoots, another rival of Beefs. I'd say the biggest rival of Beefs dates back to the college days, and Beef v Spoots will never happen again, but it happens every year in this fantasy football league, and we love to see it. Unfortunately, I'd say last year we didn't really, bring it to attention as much as it should. We should have podcast specials about it, just Beefy Spoots. But yeah, he won the league last year, technically. Unfortunately, did not get the trophy yet. Plaque is not on the trophy, but he won the league. After 2 years in the league, he won it. I think I'd say one of the earlier guys to do it, and great player. Beef, we were talking about before the podcast, got a little lucky.
He played the best team in the league in the finals, and his two best players combined for 100 points. So Kamara scored 59 points. He scored 6 touchdowns, and Diggs had 41 points. So 99 points between the two of them. I mean, you could say it's luck. Those two went off all year. They were both really good all year. I mean, I'll give him that. The rest of his team, it was not the best team. Slice definitely had the best team, but Spoots showed up when he needed to, got the dub.
Yeah, and like we said it last podcast, best team does not win. Slice was the best team last year with a 10-3 record, followed by Craig. Spoots with the 8-5 record gets the win. I'd say similar to my style of winning, be the underdog, and you will get your name on that trophy. Spoots did it last year. You ride those players, the key players in your team all year long, and he did it. Got the number one running back in football. Could have been McCaffrey, ended up being Kamara. But yeah, that was Spoots last year. Great win. A little bit of luck. We'll see what he can do this year.
I just want to throw it out there because we just talked about it. Rule number 1, never be the first overall seed in this league. The first overall seed in the regular season has never won the league. Never. So rule number 1, never finish first. That's the biggest rule.
Yeah, we got a couple curses going. First place curse and the 10th man curse.
Yep.
So, we'll see what happens. Maybe one day the first place one will be broken. But I could definitely see that 10th man one going on forever. But we'll move on to Slice, my favorite to win the league. King without a ring. Great player.
Guru Slice, as he is. That's his team name. But
yep. FF Guru Slice. League history.
Shout out to Team Legitimacy, which lasted a very, very long time.
Yep.
He finally changed his name, I believe, in 2018, which he changed his name to Death Taxes and G Picks Grunk.
Yep.
So, very fitting. But he was Team Legitimacy for a very long time until we got on top of him for having a boring name.
Yeah, dating back to 2015 when I think he joined the league. Nope, he was there all the way back in 2014.
Yep.
Yeah, Team Legitimacy, probably the standard name that ESPN gives you when you log in. They just put your last name there.
Most likely.
So that was his name for a while. Like you said, changed it to Death Tax G Picks Runk. Came in 7th that year. Not a great showing by Slice. And then FF Guru Slice. Yeah, we kind of bullied him to a name change. And it's a good one. That's his second nickname, I'd say. Maybe in the first nickname. We call him the Fantasy Guru. We call him the King Without a Ring. And he is my favorite to win the league, like I said. Obviously, I want myself to win, but, if Slice wins, I'd be happy. Love Slice. But, yeah, like we said, came in first place regular season last year, 10-3, and always has a great draft. Like we said, unfortunate, just maybe gets tired towards the end of the year, loses a little steam, and can't finish the league. I mean, yeah, Slice is a good player. You said it earlier, too. Has another league. That could be his downfall.
I mean, he probably is the best fantasy football player in our league. Realistically, he probably is.
Yeah, you got to have some confidence in yourself when you're putting, I think, over $1,000 on a league.
Yeah. So his big league that he is in is $1,000 a year. So that's hefty.
It might be more. It might be more.
It might be, but I mean, he definitely pays attention to that league a lot more than he pays attention to our league. But he definitely knows the most, especially going into draft night. You can drop a random name to him, and he'll be like, "Value pick, good pick, good pick," and you're just like, "I've never heard of this guy before." Like, you can go back to like random guys who you're just like, he's the kind of guy that you don't want to be picking near, which of course he's picking after me, so I can't bounce any ideas off of him this year. But big guy, when you're like early draft, he's late draft, you can go up and be like, who do you like between these two? And he'll always he never screws you over. He'll always tell you what he honestly thinks. But definitely probably the smartest fantasy football player we have in the league.
Yeah, which is good because I mean, if he was extremely serious in this league, as I'm sure he is in the other league, I think it would lose a little bit of the fun. But at the same time, like, well, he's super competitive, so like but he'll be honest with you, like you said.
Yeah.
I always try to talk to him during draft day. But yeah, you back to back, he might steal a couple guys from you.
Oh, he will steal at least like 3 guys from me. So.
And we were saying, he really does not take advantage of the waiver wire. Usually, sometimes I think he had single digits, usually around 10 to 15 picks off the waiver wire. And I think last year he had the first waiver pick for like 8 weeks and then finally used it.
Yeah, he held it for a very long time and then finally used it. So.
But it's good he used it. I mean, I guess. But yeah.
I mean, his team was still stacked. He was the best team in the regular season for a reason. I mean.
Yeah, he didn't need the moves, but
No.
love making moves. I just can't fathom it. But we move to the 3 pick, and that is you, Beef. I'll let you lead off.
I mean, maybe I'll make the playoffs for the first time this year. I mean, ask anyone in the league. I've never been to the playoffs. Just never. I've never made it. I stink. My teams are always terrible, and I'm probably just gonna go 0-13 this year. So yeah, that's all I got to say about myself.
Oh, that was the thing I was saying about Joe. Since the NFL regular season is extending, he was asking if we should extend our season, and I think most of us said, let's give it a year, figure it out, see how the NFL reacts to it, because, I mean, they could be resting players those last weeks, and we don't want to be caught in a bad situation.
In a final where no one plays.
Yeah, because who the hell knows? I mean, they could just, it's one more week, could be a game that doesn't matter. We don't want to just deal with that, especially in the first year that they're adding it.
Mm-hmm.
But Beef, great player, made the playoffs, contrary to popular belief.
What are the playoffs? I've never been there. I've never been to the playoffs. I don't know what you're talking about.
2 or 3 times.
3.
3 times, not 0.
I've made it the last 2 years. It's either 2 or 3, but I've made it the last 2 years.
Yep, and I've said it. Beef, great drafter as well. Usually has a great team. Also had some bad luck, as everyone does in fantasy football. But yeah, Beef, good player. I said he's going to win it one day. It's not before me.
And you already won it 3 times. Share the fucking wealth.
Yep, you can have it once. And yeah, Beef's a good player. Beef will have a good team at the 3 pick. You never know. Could be some more draft trading before the draft on September 3rd. 10 days, ESPN has a draft countdown going. Love it. But yeah, Beef's dangerous, and watch out for his rivalries all year long.
Yeah, I mean, every week matters for me, I guess, because I have a rivalry like 8 out of the 13 weeks. So,
it's tough.
Big rivalry. I mean, I definitely have the hardest schedule on the list.
It just keeps your intensity up.
You might have actually, you don't even really have any rivalries, I would say. I mean, I have 8 to 10 a week, 8 to 10 a season. So, the intensity is always high. So by the time it gets to the playoffs, my steam, I'm worn out. It happens. But
I'd say all my rivals have been kicked out of the league.
You did have a rivalry with Max going.
They've been pushed out. All my rivals have been pushed out, and I remain.
Definitely was one. I mean, I might be looking to start some more rivalries this year. I already have half of the league as a rival, so might as well add on to that. Who am I going for this year? Let me think. I definitely need to start some beef with, pun intended, by the way. I need to start some beef with you because I don't like you. You stink.
Love you, Beep.
You stink. Rivalry games now. I said it.
Love you, Beep.
I just started a rivalry for the first time, by the way. I have 5 rivals in this league, and I've never started it.
Yep. This one won't last. But we move to 2. And I'd say this is maybe my, I guess, technical rival. We met in the finals. He beat me. He took my triple back-to-back year out of the way. And it stung a little bit. But I bounced back with the win the following year. But Steve, at the 2 pick, great pick this year. He'll probably pick, I don't know. Who are you thinking? Kamara?
No, he's picking Dalvin Cook. If he
Dalvin
doesn't pick
Cook.
Dalvin Cook, he's an idiot.
Yeah, he'll probably just pick Dalvin Cook. But, like we said, won in 2019. No, we didn't. 2018. Years all
2018.
all mixed up.
We do
What?
have a nickname for Steve in this league. It's Barry Bonds. He has an asterisk next to his title. If you put him in the Hall of Fame, I might have to take something out of Paul's playbook, put an asterisk next to that 2018 year with his name on there. Might have to put that on the trophy. I'm not gonna lie.
Love it. Yeah, he won in 2018, beating me in a fair final, and usually a good drafter. He's had some luck in the past, picking Josh Allen last year. He's usually good at picking QBs. I forget.
Mahomes the year he broke out.
Yep.
He picked Allen the year he broke out. He picks the young quarterbacks who got a big chance of breaking out.
Yeah, I'd say that's his MO, picking a good quarterback. A little bit of luck, a little bit of skill. That's his draft strategy. And otherwise, just a normal drafter. And I'm fine with him drafting after me. Nothing wrong with that. We can have some conversations. We usually bounce ideas off each other. And I'm fine with that. Yeah. And Beef at 3, also fine with that.